What's up YouTube? Valentin the Mad here, and today I have a new dev discussion video. This one is with Marko Grgurovic, the project lead of Mordhau, discussing the gameplay, game modes, character creation, and of course, the gore. So, without further ado, here it is. Hi, welcome to the show. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you for having me. First of all, I'm Marko Grgurovic. I'm the project lead on Mordhau and also work as a programmer. And I've been working on the game since, I think, 2014, when I started the project. It was called Slasher back then. It was like our prototype stage. And then like a year and a half after that, started being called Mordhau. And a year and a half after that, here we are today.
Okay, so first of all, what is Mordhau?
It's a multiplayer medieval melee game. It's kind of a weird genre name, I guess, but I don't think anyone's come up with something that's stuck.
I think it's good enough, definitely.
Essentially, it's if I compare it to like other games in this genre, it would be War of the Roses, Mount & Blade, Warband, Chivalry, stuff like that. So a lot of players on a server, and they fight each other on these battles. And that's essentially it. But of course, there's infantry, there's horses, there's siege engines, castles. And
oh yeah, I'll definitely get to the horses and siege engines. It sounds very interesting. I want to hear more about it. But first, I want to hear about the history of the game. How did you get to making it? Like, how did the idea come up in 2014?
Back then we were all Chivalry players mostly, and we loved the game. We loved the idea. We wanted to expand on it and sort of bring our own ideas to it, change the combat a bit, add a few things from other games that are similar, like Mount & Blade. And that's essentially how we all got together, by just playing the game and meeting each other there. And people just joined onto the project and stuck with it for this long. So that's pretty much it, really.
Okay, so let's discuss the main feature of the game.
So combat is at the absolute forefront for this. We've spent a while on that to make sure it flows very smoothly, and it's a lot of fun. It has a deep skill ceiling to it. And then we've added all kinds of other stuff that would make the game interesting to a wider audience. Like I mentioned, horses, siege engines, things like on maps, there's interactables. You can drop and pick up items, like some rock that you can throw off the castle walls, or just, pick your opponent's weapon and exchange it with your own, and little things like that to spice it up. And of course, large battles with larger player counts of up to 64 players. That's, I think, most of the stuff that we're doing towards this end.
Alright, so I've seen the mounted combat in the trailers. It looked very cool, and I want to hear more about it. How would it work?
So unlike in Mount & Blade and also in War of the Roses, you get to spawn with a horse. It's like part of your equipment loadout. In Mordhau, it's not like that. It's more like Battlefield, where the horse is on a map. It spawns there, and you can walk up to it and just start riding it. And next to it, there's usually going to be a lance as well. So you can grab the lance, go on the horse, and then just joust some people unexpectedly.
Nice.
Some horses will also spawn with armor. So you may they're slower. They have more sort of bump power, so they can more easily run through people, and they're obviously more durable. So that's, I think, most of it as far as horses go.
Okay, so which leads me to the next question about the game modes. What do we have now? What's planned? Do we have like a similar game mode to Battlefield's Conquest?
Yeah, exactly. So something we're looking into something with for a big game mode, so to speak, something with capture zones, and with two teams that go for these zones and try to take them over a large map. Since obviously it has parallels to Battlefield with the vehicles spawning and sort of stuff like that. But there's also smaller modes. A really popular thing for us has been, even from other genres, from not other genres, but other games, is dueling, 1v1s, just fighting on foot, or maybe we could do jousting as well, I guess.
Yeah, that's actually was going to be a question. Will we have like game modes that are only for horse combat?
It's quite probable that someone will do that, although we don't have them yet. But I mean,
I think it has potential.
Yeah, for sure. And if we don't do it, then modders will. But I'm pretty sure someone will try to spam horses on a map. It's unavoidable.
Yeah. They usually make good gaming videos, stuff like this.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And then there's obviously stuff like free for all or team deathmatch modes or last man standing, where it's two teams. And with no respawns, and I think that covers about all of them.
Yeah, it sounds very good so far. So one more thing I want to ask about the horse gore. I'm only asking half seriously, but
yeah, I know this was going to come up.
Yeah, yeah, only half seriously. I'm not really expecting anything.
So regarding the horse gore, in theory, we could do it. The same way we're doing gore and dismemberment, we could apply that to the horse, but we haven't yet. For one reason, one thing is it might look a bit silly.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean
it's going to be pretty hard to dismember a horse, I guess.
Yeah,
maybe the legs and stuff, but
yeah, Game of Thrones did it for the head. But I think we'll do it eventually. We're just not doing it now because we would have to do a little bit of generalizing for the dismemberment we have to apply to the horse, but it is completely possible. So okay. I think we'll get into that eventually. But there is blood on the horse. That is there.
Oh, so basically like wounds on impact?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking forward to the horse gore. Should be fun. And one more thing, I've seen that the character creation is a thing. You can like basically have a lot of freedom to sculpt whoever you want, right?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Even it all goes down to things even like armor. You can create the entire suit out of smaller parts such as gloves, arms, shoulder pads, chest piece, lower chest piece, legs, boots, helmet, and the helmet has like two parts to it. There's a ton of stuff we're adding there, so people can really make different characters with even a low amount of assets from our side, because they can be mixed so much, even though we're adding a lot of assets, like art assets, of course. And also the character itself, the body you can set to, it would have that fat, skinny, strong slider type thing. So you can change your body shape with that. Skin tone, obviously.
I guess probably no penis sliders.
No, unfortunately.
That stuff sells though. It sells really well.
Yeah, unfortunately our characters don't have penises right now. And you'll be able to change it to a female character as well, but we don't change the armor. We change the proportions a bit, so the armor does change as well in terms of that, but it's not a completely separate set of armor. There's no armored bikinis that
exactly.
you get to wear.
It looks in games.
And it looks, I think, more believable.
I think so. I've seen the characters in the dev blogs. I believe there was a female character. It looked pretty believable. Didn't look like exaggerated with like I don't know, drawings on the tits and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and boob physics on plate art.
Boob physics, yeah.
And of course, there's also face sculpting, which is really, really cool, and we're really proud of that. Being able to just create these funny faces. There's limits to it, so that you can't break it. We don't want really, really crazy alien stuff, but we do want humorous stuff to be possible. We want to see it so you can see someone and like smile, because
Yeah.
you know those faces.
Well, I do kind of hope now for an aliens mode, definitely. It should be fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably not fitting
sure.
for the actual game itself, but for a mod, absolutely. So I
Yeah,
have one
someone
more.
that just
Yeah.
someone that just unlocks the customization restrictions we have.
Yeah.
It would be possible.
So I have one more question regarding the character creation. Will we be able to easily export and import characters? So, for example, I could create historical figures, fictional characters, and make those fight to the death.
You mean like share with someone else?
Yeah, exactly.
So this was a big thing for me as well, and I've always tried to make sure this would be a thing. The way I want to do it is so that you get a really long like text, and you just copy that and send to someone, and they can just put that into the game, just copy paste it, and there you go. And that should be it. I don't want it to be like files, so I want it to be easy to share.
Awesome, awesome. I was very much wondering how that's gonna work out. Definitely has room for making, I don't know, theme mods like deathmatch with characters by a certain theme.
Yeah, but also for, just for us from a developer point of view, or from a marketing point of view, it's really good for us to have this for players, because they love to share this. Everyone loves to
Yeah,
like
exactly.
share these faces, and everyone benefits from it, because then you have these cool faces running around. So definitely something we want to do, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so final thing, let's discuss the gore. Like, what do we have now? What's planned?
Right.
Everything response related. Like, if you have armor deformations.
Right now, we don't have armor deformations. What we do have right now, as far as gore is, I'm not too happy with it yet. We have a global sort of texture that is more and more bloodied, but I want to replace this with localized wounds.
Thank you. Yes.
And this is the reason why we didn't do this is because we were in Unreal Engine 3, it was quite easy to do this. In Unreal Engine 4, they kind of forgot about it. And then we could do it ourselves, or we could wait until they do it for us, and then we benefit from that. So we ended up waiting, and it paid off because they recently made that easier to do. So now we will be looking into that soonish and try to get that back in.
Nice, nice.
And that's a big part for the hit feedback. It also
I
looks
think it's
better,
like the
feels better.
most basic, most important thing. A hit at the point of location doesn't have to be dismemberment. Just like
Yeah.
either a bloody wound or I don't know, just blood splattered where you hit the character. Like probably
Yeah.
the most important thing you want to see when you hit the body. More
Yeah,
important than
I
dismemberment,
agree.
in my opinion.
I agree. It definitely catches your attention as well as a player. It always did for me
Yeah.
when I looked at that. And it was always, you poke someone in the eye and it gets bloody, then you poke them some more, and yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's for the blood. Then there's dismemberment. Obviously, when you cut at the joint, so it dismembers at the bones of the body, which are right now they're feet, lower legs, upper legs, hands, forearms, shoulders, and the neck. Those are the points we dismember at right now. To dismember, you need to have different weapons have different dismemberment power. So a dagger is not going to cut off your entire lower leg. You'll need a substantially bigger sword to do that. And that's only one part of it. The other part is it needs to be a slice, not a stab. A stab is never going to dismember. And the slice angle needs to be sort of perpendicular to the bone that you're cutting. So it needs proper edge alignment. when those things, and finally, the last thing that is taken into account is how well armored that part of the body is. So if it's heavily armored, the chance to dismember is much lower, but it's still there. We don't take it out completely. So if those things all come together, then the slice will dismember. The limb takes off on its own and sort of flops around, and the character is without that limb. The other option that can happen in this case is a partial dismember, where the dismembered limb is still attached to the body, like by some bone or something, but it looks like it's almost about to fall off, and it's twisted to the side usually, and can be completely cut off by hitting it again. So it just flies off at that point. So for dismemberment, that's that.
Sounds like absolutely great. I have to say, sounds great.
And one thing, as far as the gore goes, when you dismember, let's start with, there's this event in the game when a body hits, or any physical object hits the ground at a certain force. It will first play a sound of like the body falling, and then it will start creating a pool of blood that slowly fills in at a point where the body kind of fell to the ground and died.
Oh yeah, that's one thing I actually found very much missing in many games. Like I've seen the blood pools for the bodies, but I've seen blood pools for dismembered limbs as well, and for some reason it's not so very common, and I've seen it in Mordhau. Very happy to see it.
But there's also for the limbs themselves, when they get cut off and they fly off, they will, when they hit the ground at some point, which is usually far from the body, they will also play a sort of squishy sound and create their own little blood pool.
Nice.
And the blood itself, when it falls to the ground, leaves a pool of blood, but it's smaller and it doesn't fill up. It just kind of appears right now, which is not too great, but something that we're still looking into.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think, personally, I think the end result kind of matters more, so even if it doesn't look all that great in the process, as long as the end result looks real fucking messy, that's what matters, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, like, let's take Verdun, for example, the blood pool forming. Not the prettiest, but the end result, when you see all those bloodies and all that blood, just looks so amazing, in my opinion.
Yeah, we've recently changed how our blood pools form, because we weren't happy with that. I think we have a GIF of that somewhere. I'll hit you up with that later.
Oh, definitely.
And yeah, with blood pools, also another thing is some people really want to crank up like how many they want to see. They don't want to disappear.
Yeah,
so we have two ways to control that. One is the maximum amount of blood pools. So you can say like, I want 50 of them, and just get rid of. We usually get rid of the farthest away. So if you get over 50, it just replaces the last one, so it doesn't completely chug down your computer.
Yeah.
Or you can just set that really high and use the maximum lifetime for each pool, so that they disappear after a while. Or you can have them infinite and use that. So.
Well, definitely great to have such an option. Like, I mean, I guess Mordhau looks good. I will likely be playing it after many upgrades, so definitely want to have that option.
Cool.
And it's great to have it. Alright, so regarding the animation responses, like, what do we have now?
We have flinch sort of hit reactions depending on where you get hit. There's some more stronger ones for the head.
Can you perhaps knock characters over?
No, you cannot currently knock anyone over, but what you can do, when they die, obviously they get a certain amount of, either it's an animation playing out, or they get a ragdoll force and they get sort of knocked around on death. And different weapons have different amounts of force. So a big sledgehammer might just send them flying, whereas a dagger will just kind of gently nudge them to the ground. And there's some special cases as well. Where, for example, if you fall from a high sort of from a high point, you fall to the ground and you get slammed. Your ragdoll just gets slammed down. When you die on a horseback, you just ragdoll and sort of move, get stuck on the horse a bit and dragged around and fall off.
That sounds very cool.
That's, I think, pretty much all of it. Going back, I think I just remembered one thing. As far as reactions in that sense go, when
perhaps maybe animations on dismemberment, it's actually something Chivalry excelled with.
Yeah, we don't currently have that. It would be possible. It's not a big deal for us. It's quite possible to add them as long as we have those animations. We just don't have them right now, so we haven't added them. But I don't see why we shouldn't be able to do that later on. Maybe even post-release as we're polishing things and stuff like that.
Maybe perhaps even like some kind of wiggling on the ground animations. Not too long ones, definitely not 2 minutes long, I guess. But like, I don't know, like 30 seconds to a minute would be very nice.
Yeah.
If the hit like wasn't the beheading, obviously.
Yeah.
Would be very nice.
Yeah, we do have sounds, obviously. That's not animations.
Yeah, I mean,
like
it kind of looks funny when you hear these moans and character is lying still, but...
Yeah, we do have sounds for like when you hit people, obviously, and when they die, they let out either a long scream, a short scream. If it's a decapitation, it's completely silent. If it's a partial decapitation, so it's like a neck dismemberment, that's it's like a slit throat, then it plays a gurgling sound as he collapses down. And as far as that's that.
I think perhaps what would be very cool is like special animations for slit throats, not necessarily decapitation, no, just like kind of with a dagger. You hit the throat and maybe like some special animations for that.
Yeah, just holding his throat and stuff like that. Exactly, yeah. We just need more death animations, and that's true.
Yeah.
We have some for special cases, like a belly stab and stuff like that, but we haven't added a lot more yet.
Okay, looking forward for the death animations. It can make a pretty big difference. And perhaps like one more thing regarding dismemberment. About blood trails from the, let's say the limb flies away. Would there be perhaps a blood trail?
You mean on the ground?
Yeah.
Or I guess both. On the ground right now, no. And even when flying, it doesn't exactly leave a blood trail. We want to add... We don't have actual particle blood trails right now. That's the main reason why. We only have like these sprite-ish animations. But we want to add them, so we want to have these blood trails. I don't know whether they'll leave stuff on the ground. I'm not sure how expensive that will end up being. But I do want to have like physical, blood trails that spray around and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, it would be cool like if the throat / death animations, he just kind of like, you see the long death animation and he sprays blood everywhere.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. Absolutely.
Alright, so that's about it. Thank you for coming. Sounds very interesting. Looking forward to play it.
Thank you very much for having me.